Yeah. Sometimes you gotta have like.
Trustee Cordova, all good?
Yeah.
Okay, ready on my left?
Yeah. Now I'm gonna get a backup generator.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm calling this meeting of Board of Trustees on July 27, 2026 to order at 7:01 PM. Clerk, can you please do a roll call to order?
Trustee Alfano?
Here.
Trustee Cordova?
Here.
Trustee Constados?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar? Trustee Sabri? Thank you. And
Okay.
President Patrick?
Here, thank you. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, moving along to public comments on agenda items. Clerk, is there anybody signed up for public comments on agenda items?
Cheryl Tucker?
Okay, thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to read our public comment guidelines. The opportunity to speak before the village board is provided for residents who wish to comment on an agenda item or village matter. The board values public input and appreciates respectful participation. To ensure fairness and allow all who wish to speak an opportunity to do so, public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Each individual may speak only once during this portion of the meeting. Public comment is not a question and answer session, and the board will not engage in dialogue during this time. Questions or concerns raised may be addressed by staff or elected officials outside of this meeting. Respect for the duties of the village board and for the democratic process will be adhered to in this regard. Civility and a sense of decorum will strictly be followed. All comments must be directed to the village board, not to individual trustees, staff, or members of the audience. Threats and personal attacks will not be permitted, nor will disrespectful remarks, interruptions, applauding, or other disruptive behavior be permitted from non-speakers. These standards ensure that our meetings remain orderly, efficient, and respectful for everyone in attendance. Thank you for your cooperation. Cheryl, all you.
Thank you. I like the railroad card, but now the board is voting to spend $15,000 for a service to design a structure for the railroad card. I thought the special meeting on June 29th was about how we didn't have any money in our budget to do it, which turned into an embarrassment the following Monday. Nowhere in there did I see what we're going to pay for Phase 1 or Phase 2 in that budget on what we're spending the $51,000 on. And wow, another waste of the village money to correct the special meeting ordinance, which if it was used properly for only bona fide life-threatening emergencies in Villa Park, there wouldn't be a need to correct it to 5 business days prior to the start of a special meeting. I'm trying to understand that the board meetings are every 14 days apart. It takes 5 business days to plan a special meeting. Where the board calls a special meeting on the start and then starts a special meeting to rudely call a vote to go into executive session, which takes 2 or more hours to take care of, not taking into consideration all the people of Villa Park's time that you wasted for this special meeting that was not necessary in the first place. Now, all agenda items should only be agenda items if you can discuss it to let the people of Villa Park know what you, as a board, have determined is a good idea or not for Villa Park. As Trustee Kozar pointed out, on July 6th, that's for the transparency purposes of those meetings. There shouldn't be anything on the agenda that needs to have an executive session called during the board meeting so that you can vote on it. It shouldn't be on the agenda in the first place. Now tell me again why we need this ordinance change for a special meeting in the first place when there was nothing on the special meeting that could not have waited for a regular meeting and have an executive session discussion after that regular meeting. If there was no need for all the special meetings, there wouldn't be a need for the remote attendance reservation either, which residents really know in executive sessions, there shouldn't be any recording anyway. You don't do Zoom or phone on it. The only one recording those executive sessions should be the village clerk only. All trustees' phones should be turned off. Can any trustee really guarantee that their remote conversation could not be heard by another family member or somebody in the hotel room next to them or a conference room? Wow, look at that. If you don't have the special meeting except for bona fide emergencies, we wouldn't need this ordinance change or the remote attention resolution to be passed at all tonight. Look at that. If the board did that, the board would be saving the village tax money, legal fees, staff time, and time away from their busy schedules if they followed through with those.
Thank you. Next, please.
Marty Seaton.
My name is Marty Seaton, a resident of Villa Park since 1982 and co-owner of 2 properties in town. I'm speaking in regards to an agenda item at tonight's meeting, the 5-year plan. When we purchased property on North Harvard Avenue in 2023, George Bennis, the village inspector, told us that the current exterior water drainage system could be changed to a below-ground drainage system once the village completed a combined sewer separation project. However, that was not part of the current 5-year village plan. The property had flooding in June 2025 and significant flooding this July. We are requesting the village consider including a combined sewer separation project for this part of town in its next 5-year plan, with Harvard Avenue a top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
That's it.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak under public comments on agenda items? Agenda items. Okay, moving forward, public comments on non-agenda items. Clerk?
Dr. Barbernet.
Okay.
Or Bernadette.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right, good, great. Good evening. Thank you for having me and giving me just a few minutes to make a few comments. I'm Jean Barbonente. I have the privilege of serving as superintendent of District 88. I've been in the district over 31 years, and it's been an honor to serve the community here for all of that time. I just want to start off by just thanking also the village of Villa Park just for an incredible relationship we've had for many, many years and for being a great community partner. So today, I want to just share some brief updates from the district. Every once in a while, we come here to a village meeting just to give a couple highlights of what's happening, specifically for all of you at Willowbrook High School, although we do have a little slice of Villa Park that does go to Addison Trail. But for those that are again, not familiar with the district, we are just the 2 high school district in District 88. And most recently, some of the successes that we have been celebrating this summer are that both of our schools have been increasing in ratings. And so very recently, we had both at Willowbrook and Addison Trail High School earn 9 out of 10 ratings on the Great Schools ratings, which are tied to the Realtor sites and all of that. And specifically in our case, when you look at the high school ratings, a lot of what goes into that are really the access that our students have to college-level coursework and career preparation coursework, which tied to industry credentials and college courses. And so this past year, students in District 88 earned more than 6,400 college credits across both schools. Which is about a $2.6 million savings in college tuition, as well as you may or may not know, but in District 88 we offer over 18 different career pathways, and so we know that connecting students earlier to career preparation is definitely will increase the likelihood that they'll be able to have sustaining job at some point, even if they pursue college coursework. And so we've had a lot of students pursue multiple different career pathways. We want to make sure that we offer as many individual options for students as possible, and that we are really watching the workforce trends across the country to see where the job growth is and what the best opportunities that we should be offering to our students. And so over this past year, in addition to the college credits, our students earned over 2,000 industry certifications in our programs. So really proud of the accomplishments of Willowbrook High School students. And again, that's translating to also external ratings for the district, which of course is a benefit for the community. We also had about 300 students earn what's the state seal of biliteracy, or commendation of biliteracy. We have over 50 languages spoken across the district. So very diverse, and we really know that many of our students bring an asset of second language to school. And so we like to tap into that as much as possible. This has been an intentional resource investment by our board to make sure that we're offering those career options for students, as well as, again, college coursework, so between advanced placement and college credit classes that we offer through the College of DuPage, as well as other university partners. We have quite a bit of offerings, so 30 advanced placement and 50 dual credit classes, as well as 15 credentialed programs over at the Technology Center of DuPage in Addison. We are a co-owner of that facility. And there we offer things that we don't offer on campus, like HVAC, welding, things that, again, facilities-wise, we don't offer on our campuses. So other thing that we have been also celebrating is just the district has had a long history of sound fiscal management, and so our ratings continue to be high with the state board, the highest rating of recognition, as well as very solid Moody's ratings, and the board has a 30% fund balance policy so that we don't go below 30% of our operating expenses in the fund balance. So that's been a long-standing commitment by the board in District 88. This past year, part of what we've been working on is a very comprehensive facilities planning process, which involved not only a comprehensive study by our architects, but also we've been about 12 months of engaging the community, both in formal and informal settings. I've met with literally hundreds and hundreds of community members to seek some feedback on our facilities, which are heavily utilized also by not only by our students, but by the community. And the board looked at all of that, the assessment and the feedback, and has developed some priorities that the board is considering related to a potential bond proposal that could be on the November ballot. And so what the board has considered, again, looking at all those priorities, is the potential of a bond proposal that would be the issuance of about not more than $118 million, which would result in no net tax rate increase to the community. In terms of what is outlined in that proposal is improvements related to safety and security. So obviously that's the highest priority, looking to expand cameras across the campuses in consultation with our police departments and security consultants, expanding cameras as well as upgrading our systems in both schools as well as in the district office facility where we have our transition students as well. We have some life safety items to be addressed. These are mostly due to new codes and things that are now out of compliance because of rule changes and things of that sort. ADA accessibility. Those of you who've been on our campus know that we do have some challenges related to ADA accessibility, both in our gym bleachers, our stadium bleachers, as well as our auditoriums. So that's something that would be addressed here. Infrastructure items. These are things that we do, obviously take care of one at a time as our budget allows each year. But we'd be looking at the potential of doing a more comprehensive addressing of our infrastructure to also find some efficiencies with our utilities, et cetera. So this is something that's being considered. Educational space needs are concentrated in the CTE areas, as I said, because of the workforce needs that we're seeing across the country. We are concentrating specifically in two programs we house on campus, our autos technology and our construction trades area, which where we have very high enrollment and a lot of interest and need. There, so looking at updating those spaces for safety, as well as, again, flooring, lighting, things like that, and just equipment that is more standard, just to meet today's standards of equipment. Our performing arts space needs, so auditoriums would be addressed. with this potential is what the boards may be considering, and that athletic space needs. So specifically at Willowbrook, baseball, softball are both in need of some attention, as well as tennis courts, scoreboards, and the potential of a second turf field at Willowbrook due to the high usage, both of our students and all of our feeder programs and youth sports that utilize our facilities. So these are the things that we heard, again, based on from our architect, as well as we heard were priorities that the community members had identified in our meetings. And so we have information here that shows kind of what the proposal would, the layout of how funds would be distributed equally between the two schools. And the reason that it's possible with a no net tax rate increase is because we have some referendum debt that will be paid off in '27. And so as that debt rolls off, the board, would be considering, taking on new debt and then that tax rate staying the same. So again, that's why it's possible for no net tax rate increase. So it's kind of a timing issue, just that we're timing it up potentially with this debt that would be rolling off. So again, that we're still, the board is still interested in hearing feedback from the community on what's being considered. And again, nothing is finalized. This is still in that phase. And our job is just to share the facts around it and not, we are not in a position from the district level to ask anyone, to influence anyone's opinion about it. But we want to make sure that the facts are out there in the community directly from the district. And so we're certainly willing to meet with anyone. If anyone has questions, we are available. Again, we've been invited to many different community meetings to share information. We're willing to continue to do that. And so please reach out. We would encourage, even if, no matter what the opinion is about the proposal, we want to hear from everybody. So the potential question, is not going to say that there's no tax increase. And so it looks, it may look something like this, that just says what the board would be considering related to the bond proposal. And again, so we're just sharing that information so that the community has, again, the facts around what's being considered. So again, I really appreciate the time here, and I know it's public comment, so there's no time for questions, but again, please feel free to reach out to the district and to myself, or Danny Brink is here with me, Director of Community Relations. We certainly are willing to answer any questions. So again, there is a website that houses all this information, the FAQs and different details about the proposal, so please feel free to visit that as well. So thank you. Thanks so much. Okay. You're good.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other public comments on non-agenda items?
Marty Seaton.
Hi, I will repeat that my name is Marty Seaton, a resident of Villa Park since 1982 and co-owner of 2 properties in town. I'm speaking in regards to the village's responses to the significant flooding event on July 3rd, 2026. Our property on North Harvard Avenue, occupied by our daughter and husband expecting a baby by the end of the month, took in 19 to 21 inches of rain that evening when 2 of the 3 sump pumps failed due to the heavy downpour. In efforts to remove damaged goods from the basement, repeated calls, voicemails, and emails were exchanged with the village and LRS. The village reported that they had made an arrangement with LRS to remove damaged goods the following 2 weeks through July 17th. However, LRS claimed at first that they had no such arrangement with the village. Once those efforts were coordinated, contradictory information was stated in repeated calls about what could be picked up and when and how it should be prepared, including whether flooded mattresses had to be bagged or other items to be bagged. Due to the urgency of preparing for their baby's imminent arrival, daily calls were made to LRS and the village during the 2-week window, but without any clear directions and progress. The village advised leaving the flood-damaged goods on the curb, even though LRS left tags on their trash that not all items were bagged. Eventually, a neighbor's mattresses were picked up only when he flagged down an LRS truck and actually helped them with the removal. A village staffer said that sometimes the LRS drivers have to be paid off to remove flood items, while LRS promised that they would work with their drivers for appropriate removal. The village staffer also said that there were no village funds to compensate flood victims for bags or other cleanup supplies. A village representative from the Economic Development Department actually came to their property last week to issue a violation of village ordinances, despite their description of the confusing and inadequate village responses throughout the month. The mattresses were bagged at their expense and eventually removed, but trust in and respect for this village's services, especially in emergency situations, have been lost. Since the village staff did not properly handle the flooding emergency, we think it's important that the board is informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on public comments on non-agenda items this evening? Clerk, do we have anyone else signed up?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are going to go ahead and move forward. We do not have any proclamations tonight, so we'll move forward with our presentation of 7A, Parade Winners Announcement Presentation of the Plaques of the July 27th Board Meeting. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. Before we are presenting tonight's awards, we'd like to take a moment and thank our partners at the VFW Post 2801 for once again hosting another outstanding July 4th parade. Their dedication and hard work helped make this one of Villa Park's most cherished traditions. Thank you also to AWE Commercial Media for capturing this event as well. This year's parade was especially meaningful as we celebrated America's 250th anniversary with the theme Star Stripes and 250 Lights. We were excited to see so many creative and patriotic entries that embrace the spirit of our nation's milestone celebration. We'd also want to recognize and thank our generous parade sponsors for helping make this event possible. Villa Park Youth Baseball and Softball, LRS, Tri-Town, YMCA, Villa Park Venom Travel Baseball, Midland Plumbing and Sewer, Robert Rusty Stevens for DuPage County, Villa Park Lions Club, Mike's Meat Market, Villa Park Ace Hardware, and KJ Heating and Cooling. And now we'd like to recognize this year's winners, but I'd like to be assisted by Commander J.B. Blankenship. Yes, sir. Good to see you.
It's making me come up here.
I'm sorry. There's the first. Yeah, you can open it. The first award, the first award is our Best Crowd Engagement Award, and this goes to Mike's Meat Market for their exceptional crowd engagement and spirited participation. If you'd like to step forward.
My poppy, guys.
Congratulations.
You're my poppy. Oh, yes.
Yes. If you want to turn around for a photo? Oh, sure. And just hold it up. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
And our next award is the Community Choice Award, selected by the community, goes to Midland Plumbing and Sewer for their outstanding participation in this year's parade. Gentlemen, please step forward.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for helping out so much and putting this all together. Thank you so much.
Keep this here too.
Want to show, we're going to take a picture?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Put it
Here you go, you got it.
I want you to put $1,000 in there. We'll take care of it.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again. The next award is the Best Performance Award, and this goes to Prism 7 Dance Company in recognition of their talent and creativity.
Very nicely done.
Go ahead and hold it up. Go ahead and hold it up. There you go. Come on in. Come on.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, front and center. We'll move to the middle. We'll move to the middle.
Move to the middle.
You're going to be
There you go. Get everybody in.
Shortest in the front.
There we go.
Shortest in the front.
Smile.
Congratulations again. And last but not least, our final award is the Best Use of Theme Award, and this goes to the Villa Park Community Fund Commission for their exceptional creativity and execution of this year's theme, Stars, Stripes, and 250 Lights. Please step forward.
Congratulations.
Wanna hold it? There you go.
This is very nice. Thank you. It's nice to be getting an award.
Yes, it is. Hey, Mary. Almost done, almost done. Congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you to every organization, business, and community member who participated in making the 2026 Villa Park 4th of July Parade a memorable celebration. We look forward to seeing everyone again next year. Thank you, sir.
And then there were none. All right. All right, we're going to move forward. We do not have any appointments to the commissions this evening. We do have our consent agenda, 9A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G. 9A, bill listing for the week of July 13th, 2026, in the amount of $592,066.44. In the week of July 20th, 2026, in the amount of $34,727.04. 9B, minutes of the Village Board of Trustees regular meeting held on June 22nd, 2026. 9C, the minutes of the Village Board of Trustees special meeting held on June 29th, 2026. 9D, the minutes of the Village Board of Trustees special meeting held on July 6th, 2026. 9E, the minutes of the Village Board of Trustees regular meeting held on July 13th, 2026. And 9F, an ordinance authorizing the disposal of surplus property of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois. And 9G, an ordinance approving a final plat of subdivision commonly known as Walters Yale Re-Subdivision, 150 West Sydney Avenue. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano, thank you. Any discussion? Oh, never mind. A roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Constados?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving along to item 10A, staff reports, discussion of parental leave program. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to be turning this over to Human Resource Manager Jackie Pierce.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So tonight I've prepared a very brief presentation. I provided a lot of information in the board packet, and I know that was the first thing you read out of the 300 and some pages that you were given. So if you didn't get a chance to read it all, you can take that back with you. So I'm giving a brief presentation on the status of the parental leave policy that the board passed on July 23rd, 2025. And funny thing, without knowing that exact date, I happened to write my memo on July 23rd, 2026. So look at that. So as all of you know, I only started a few months ago. So I don't really have firsthand experience with how this policy went over the past year. But what I have done is work with the team of directors to gather their data and experiences to demonstrate the benefits and the challenges each area has experienced. In the board packet, I provide a detailed overview of everything that I've gathered, and the directors are also willing to help me answer any questions you might have today. Whoops. Okay, it's not working. There we go. Okay, so a brief overview of the past year shows data on the increase of staffing costs. As expected with any time off benefit, there is not only costs related to paying an employee while off, but also filling their position during their absence. You will also see in the memo that there was definitely operational strain, specifically in the areas of police and fire. Even though there is plenty to point out as the policy affected operations, a benefit such as parental leave does still put us at a competitive advantage. In research last year and my current research, there are very few agencies in the surrounding area that offer a parental leave policy above and beyond their typical paid time off, such as sick and vacation time. I will also share with you staff's recommendations on refining the program if the board wishes to keep it for another year. These recommendations are a collective effort with each department that has been affected. As you will see in the memo and the details there, overtime pay was the greatest hit on each department. The more an employee is off, the more coverage is needed, especially because they are typically not the only employee off. During an 8-week time frame, and the 8 weeks might be the parental leave, but they also have other additional time off that could be used. Whether it is in block time off or intermittent, there is usually someone else who is off in the department. This would include others who are on vacation, become sick, off because of injury, or other different types of leaves. At times, there has also been a need for temporary staffing. Being an entity that is like medium size, many positions within the village are held by very few, and sometimes they are the only one in that position. This causes the need to bring in temporary staff. Another direct cost comes from benefit continuation. Not only are we paying for someone to be off, we are also have to take into consideration the benefits such as pension, health and wellness benefits, payroll taxes that are still being paid during their absence. Another direct cost is training and onboarding costs contributed to the person that has to replace the employee in their position. So a lot of us have very unique positions and we do something very special. So sometimes that person that's replacing there, we also have to train and onboard them as well. And just a little snapshot from the memo, the overtime pay with fire was between $20,000 and $25,000. With police, it was about $56,000. And then there was also that replacement pay of $8,000. Then we have the indirect costs. When someone is out for an extended period of time, there's always productivity loss. The job isn't getting completed as usual. This also causes delay in services we provide, and when someone is temporarily replacing this employee on leave, the knowledge of their specific job may not be the same, causing that knowledge gap. One major indirect cost that was discovered over this past year was employee burnout. When employees are covering for an additional staff and shifts become longer and often, the inevitable is to happen, which is burnout. Another piece seen this past year was morale. As all of these impacts can make employees view their job and the agency differently. Morale becomes affected, especially because each employee is in a different phase of their life. Those benefiting from the paid time may be very happy. But others who are continually covering shifts may become frustrated. Becoming a parent is definitely a life-changing event. A parental leave policy helps alleviate the stress and provides a great opportunity. There are many other life-changing events that others are experiencing that affect everyday life that employees are not provided additional paid time off to accommodate. And this is definitely being recognized by others. Something to think about and contemplate in benefit leave. that helps all parties versus one category of employees. Parental leave focuses on parents bonding with a child. Some type of time off may be needed in other aspects of life, like caring for an elderly parent, or juggling children in their youth, or even moving those college kids from back and forth to school and back. Everything mentioned in the slides prior contribute to operational impacts. The budget is affected, continued staff shortage, additional work on staff, and ultimately service delays. So this is my favorite slide. It's what I call the cost iceberg. And as you review the memo, you will see what becomes visible and what are the hidden challenges. The iceberg is something like this. It can have a very negative impact that is hidden. The greatest challenge with this is that tracking and providing data for this becomes almost impossible. I'd like to open it up right now. If you did review some of the memo notes and stuff, the directors are here and they can respond to any of that if you had any questions on any of the challenges that they did have throughout this past year.
Are there any comments from the board? Trustee Cordova?
Yeah, so the proposal here is to go from 8 weeks parental leave to 5 to 6 weeks. And we talk about burnout, productivity, and morale. How is this going to impact our ability to recruit people to come and work for us, not only just in, that's the question.
So even just having the parental leave policy, we're still above the general agencies that are surrounding us. So there was some research that was done last year, and I've also reached out to all of the different public entities around here, and there's still an extremely small amount that actually have this policy in addition to all the other paid time off that we have. We have to remember that we have a very good benefits with sick time, vacation time that's given. We also, everyone is touched by pensions here, so there is short-term disability with each pension that is there that can help pay for some of that time off. And then we also offer in our health and wellness benefits through Blue Cross Blue Shield, there's also an opportunity for them to get short-term disability with that as well.
So how does our program or the suggested program compare with a surrounding place that has as many people as we do?
So a lot of the agencies that I have found, and I also grabbed some of the research that was from last year, the ones that range between the 8 weeks that we have and like 12 weeks are much larger agencies. They're the counties in cities like Naperville. Some of the more medium-sized entities, they tend to average between around 4 weeks is what I'm seeing. And some of them, it depends on if the employee is the one actually having the child versus the supportive parent. So those tend to be a little bit less. So, and I'm finding the same type of research as they kind of found last year with it.
And have you found that any surrounding areas have like a split program where like the mother has more time off than the father does, or is it like both?
Yes, that's
have the same amount of time?
there was about one or two that's how they structured their policy. The others were more so just a block of time.
Okay, so then I guess my next question would be to probably, I'm going to ask Chief Kubish first, since the police and fire were impacted the most by it. Based off of your 1 year of this experience and this program, and I'll ask both chiefs the same question, what would your suggestion be in looking at your department and how you were impacted by currently what we have? What would your suggestion be for your department?
I think what the director has said would be appropriate. I mean, we are also in a flux area right now at the police department as well as the fire, where we're down staff. So when there's anybody off, it makes it twice as bad. I think it's a good program. I think the shortfall would be the people that already had their children. And I think that it's a very positive program, but I think we also have to see the other side of it is that, although, yes, as a parent, I'm getting all this time off of work, but we also have a lot of officers that are getting ordered into work on their day off to fill up these vacancies. So I think that what she's saying, I would agree with, but I think that I probably should be downscaled a little bit.
Okay, so are you thinking more the 4-week, 5-week, or 5 weeks, 6? What do you think would work best for your area, especially being understaffed?
Well, I would think probably 4 to 5 weeks would probably be.
Plenty? Okay. And Chief Stapleton?
Sure, thank you. Well, I'll be a little bit more blunt, but it comes down to this. We're here to do a job. I think public safety is held to a higher standard. We need to be here. I need people in the seats, and you know we're short-staffed. This year has been very difficult, 3 long-term injuries. You gave me the permission to hire the 1 additional early. Unfortunately, didn't work out. Now we're back to square one. It's a good 6 to 8 week process just to hire, and there's no guarantee that we will get that person. So we would end up probably retesting, which won't put us to anyone new until into 2027. So I would recommend the 4 weeks for the mother, father, shorter, and that's why we have sick time, that's why we have vacation time. You know, and I said, I'm gonna be blunt, being a fire chief, I need people in the seats for when they call 911, I need people to show up. I can't be forcing people back all the time, and that's not sustainable long-term.
I appreciate your honesty, thank you.
Absolutely, thanks.
Trustee Kumar?
I feel like the policy for police and fire should be addressed somewhat separately from the policy for the non-union. That's something I think we could consider because that is a union position. The requirements are a little different and their pay scale is a little different. We did at one point talk about non-union versus union and the benefits that one gets over the other. And maybe the union also can weigh in on this process because of what is common. Maybe we make it part of the contract as well and have that discussion overall, because I think that's something that also weighs into the differences here in some way or form. But I do know my brother just had a child, and I do know how unbelievably great it is. She is a first responder as well, that she does have those 6 extra weeks of paid time off. So that's something from the other side and the other perspective I get. So it may be being more specific with some of our employees versus others for this situation.
Trustee Alfano?
Thank you. So to kind of piggyback off of what Trustee Kumar said, I did have just one question for both chiefs, and that does revolve around the union. That was one of the things that we had talked about initially a year ago, was how that would kind of impact in a different way our fire department and our police department specifically. I'm just wondering if you've collaborated or if you have an opportunity or maybe open up an opportunity to talk to those union leaders to find out how they might be able to kind of work with us as a village.
Okay, I don't think that would be a problem to speak with the unions, but I believe that Manager Rivas was the chief at the time when this was passed, and I don't believe that the unions were, unless correct me if I'm wrong, the unions were not involved with the discussions, because we have the ASME unions, we have the police unions, we have the fire unions, and then the board came up with a policy that was just pretty much given to everybody across the board. So once again, you're going to speak to a union member who is recently are about to have children. They're going to be pro, and then you're going to have someone who's got 30 years on that might be against it. So I don't think it's anything that we can rule out, but that would probably be a legal question. Can you give different unions different benefits unless they're negotiated for?
No, not without negotiation. And most of the employees in the village are unionized in one of the several unions. So The way that this didn't need to go before the individual unions during negotiations was because it was applied uniformly across the board. There are changes you can make to the policy, though, that are operational based, because you do have different needs, specifically in the shift times of public safety and public works as well. You can factor that into a universal policy that affects everyone. But we could not give the police and fire different benefits from the public works employees without having negotiated that.
And for example, like when this policy was affected and I took over as chief, I basically explained to them, you cannot take the holiday off as your parental leave unless there's actually an emergency of some sort. And going back to what the fire chief said is, yeah, we do have benefit time, we have vacation time and sick time. That's given to you for a reason. So yes, did you have a question, trustee?
No, I was just, I'm glad that was clarified, so, but we can, though, tailor a policy for union versus non-union, or overall, or we cannot?
If it's just a difference between non-union and union, you would have to open up each contract and talk to the union employees individually, not individually, but each union separately to negotiate it. You can't just say, all union employees, no matter what union you're in, you get this benefit, and then the non-union employees get this benefit. We're using our management rights to be able to institute policies across the board to get around negotiating that specifically with each union.
Okay, so given that, I would still be, in that case, I do understand the calamity that actually exists with fire and the police, but at the same time, I do feel that it will be detrimental to take it away from some other positions, which are not, which don't have as many benefits just from the way they are. So I would be at the 6-week mark as one of my choices.
Would that be similar to Ryan, would that be similar like non-union employees get President's Day off, but union employee, was that what you were saying?
I'm sorry, Chief, could you repeat that?
Like union employees don't get President's Day off, but non-union do? That would be the difference in theory.
Because that's negotiated into the union's contract.
Okay.
They agree on what their holidays will be when they approve the contract. The contracts here don't account for this type of paid parental leave. All of them were active at the time. Some of them were renewed afterwards, but it didn't come up in any of the negotiations to my knowledge.
Just so that I'm clear, because I know tomorrow I'm going to get a question, we can't take it away from the police department unless we take it away from AFSCME at the same rate, unless they agreed upon, right?
If you're changing a policy across the board, like if you're changing this policy, you can change it so that everyone is affected within the village, yes.
Okay. But when the union of the police officers calls me up tomorrow and says, hey, based on what was the dialogue was last night, we can't take it away from one union unless it's negotiated away, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Unless
everyone is getting it
correct.
taken
So
away.
it's either everybody or nobody,
Correct.
as of right now. Okay.
Yes.
Trustee Constados.
Thank you. So then my question is this: what is the difference between the union and the non-union as far as vacation time and whatnot is?
So I can only speak for fire, so in our fire department, everyone is in the union except the fire department administration, which is myself, my 2 deputy chiefs, and my administrative assistant.
So then what is the time, like the vacation time for the union versus the vacation time for the non-union, I guess is my question. Like, let's say union people get 12 weeks, non-union employees get 6 weeks of vacation.
It's spelled out in the contract. I could pull it up, but it's a graduated scale. The longer you're here, we initially start with 6 your first year, and then it goes up to a maximum of 20. After 20 years, you get up to, again, don't forget, it's a 24-hour shift. It's not 8-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts like the police department have. I don't know it off the top of my head. But what I wanted to circle back is remember, this is benefits. So the 3 key things in Illinois: hours, wages, and working conditions, automatically mandatory, subject to bargaining. So yes, we can't just take this away. If you want to negotiate this, they're going to want something for it, right? You already gave them this nice benefit. They're not just going to say, you know what, just take it back. So I don't know what the correct answer is to tweak it. You know, that's called, you know, if we want to have an MOU of some sort, a memorandum of understanding, to clarify that. That's certainly approachable with the union. We have, you know, a great relationship. They understand it because they're the ones getting forced back also. And one other type of benefit that the fire department has is trade days, unlimited trade days. That is where I'm going to work someone's 24-hour shift, and they still get paid. I don't, but they have to pay me back within a year. All right? FLSA allows that to happen, as long as it's voluntary.
Right. But then going back to what council said about if we do it across the board, then we don't have to worry about negotiations, correct, with the union, as long as we do it across the board. So we would have to do it for union and non-union as well, correct or no?
And the basis for that is because the benefit was not contemplated as part of the bargain contract. This is something I'll look into further when the board decides what path they want to take, just to confirm that there's not an aspect to this that I'm not thinking of. But if you're uniformly applying it, I believe that.
I'm only asking because I remember when we put this through, we said we're going to give it a year to test it, to see, and then revisit, and if we have to tweak it, we can always tweak it. So now if we're kind of stuck to where we can't tweak it, that could be a problem, so that's why I'm asking. So we could check and see if we do it across the board, we don't have any issues, we can do that?
Our office can confirm that, yes.
Okay, I would like to then, I don't know if I need to make a motion to table this? No, since it's only for discussion? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Manager Rivas?
If I could, if we're tweaking, not tweaking, can we at least go through the other recommendations then?
Yeah,
That's
and
on
I have a
page
couple more
77.
sides, because those are kind of hitting on like those challenges and everything. But there's also the long-term benefits, which is my next slide here, because I'm always going to push for better benefits because, as you see with these bullet points, it's a great retention. Okay, keeping our staff, along with that employee loyalty. So if you're really good to your people, they're going to be good to you. It's definitely an awesome recruitment tool. We have it, they don't, you know, type of thing. And definitely reduces turnover costs. So there's a lot of benefits to it as well. Just wanted to show some of those challenges. Also, with the discussion that was just had, being very cautious, kind of going one route or the other with union versus non-union, because once you do open that up and it's there, if you did want to tweak it or have to tweak it for budgetary reasons or whatever, now we're stuck with it and we have to renegotiate and explain to them why we want to do this in its current state. And if we keep it across the board, we don't have to do that. We might just, our recommendations today is not to necessarily get rid of it. It's just, here's some of the challenges we saw in the first year. We didn't know what to expect in the first year. And here's some of the staff's recommendations to possibly help it. And then monitor it for another year, let's say, to see how that goes. So yeah, so there's definitely some of the long-term benefits that are there too. So then here's some of the, and in the memo, it goes into much more detail of what each of these mean. But some of the things that we talked about that would definitely help is shortening the window of use. So right now, they have to use it within 6 months. That's a very long time, and what ends up happening with an 8-week period of spreading it out longer, they aren't taking it in blocks. And it's harder to schedule. It's the unknown. It's when they're going to take it. It just makes it a little bit challenging. So something as simple as just shortening up that time frame. When it comes to parental leave, what is our goal? It's giving them the opportunity to bond with that child, right? So the best bonding time is right at the beginning. It's not really meant to be there for some other things that maybe it's being used for. Kind of gapping childcare, things like that. So it's really there for the bonding. Adjusting the benefit time length, like we mentioned. So 8 weeks is when you're looking at all the agencies around us, especially when we're looking at us, our size, compared to some of the big hitters, 8 weeks is very generous. So I think even having 5-6 weeks, it's still a really great additional benefit to what we have. And then I would just suggest, let's continue monitoring the overtime trends that are there. It's kind of wild. The last entity that I was at, I was there for 5 years and 2 babies were born. I've been here 3 months and I think I'm on number 6. So, which is awesome. We have a very young generation here. I think the average age is between 30 and 40, which is wonderful to hear. So we got to see, is that trend going to continue, and is the overtime cost going to continue with it? And then the one thing I don't think anybody really thought of was tracking and trending some of those indirect costs, and some of those hidden things of that iceberg. It's going to be very, very hard to track that. Doesn't have the data like we can with numbers. But those are things that each department can kind of jot down. You know, if people seem frustrated, or where did those gaps come and we started to get exhaustion from people or whatever, we can kind of keep some of those notes and trend it a little bit, you know, better in the next year. So those were the recommendations that were there. Any other questions?
Trustee Kumar?
Okay, so, I get the 90-day, we didn't have that. That makes complete sense to me that people take it as one chunk, because I know that you want to split it up, but that's what your other vacation time is for when your kid is sick or whatever. And that's why we even put this policy in. So that makes perfect sense to add to this policy right off the back, I feel like. Monitoring the overtime. I think if we've had 6 babies, I don't presume that's necessarily a trend. We just maybe got hit really, really harsh the first year, which may be part of it, because quite frankly, as your departments get older, then the likelihood of that happening, you know, it'll be 6 kids going to college at that point. And I do feel for those who have parents and other things, maybe that's another benefit we can think about in the future, but we need to kind of really address carefully as to how many weeks, what not, because you do have great vacation, as you already pointed out, for those purposes, and this is very specific. I do think childbirth is kind of a specific issue, and that's one of the reasons a lot of women don't stay in the workplace, and I would like them to advance their careers in the way they should be. Burnout, I think that's something I think you can start tracking now that we have an HR director, and I would value that being tracked in the long run, because I think that's necessary to look at, especially from a first responder position. I remember my husband going through COVID. It was a miserable, miserable time, and that was a huge burnout for many people who are physicians. I know they literally left in his field because he's infectious disease, and that's all you did, you know. And so I understand that should be tracked. That's something that should be tracked and thought about from a psychological viewpoint of any of the employees, irrespective of just the parental leave aspect, but other things as well. You know, there's so many aspects, especially for first responders, that lead to that. So that's something that we should be tracking in some way or form anyway, I feel. So that's my take on that. I don't really have questions. This is just, you know, I think something that definitely maybe we can reassess, maybe with some of these kind of things. I don't know where all the board falls, but I do understand the concerns of fire and police.
Trustee Constados?
Thank you. Couple things. I agree. I'd like to see the number of weeks lowered. I'd actually like to see a different amount for the moms versus the dads, or the mother figures versus the father figures, however we want to word all that. And I'd actually like to see it have to be taken right away. We say that it's for bonding, it's for bonding, and it's for healing of the mother who has given the birth or had the C-section or whatever it may be. Back in the day, that's how it always was. I really don't see any reason to change it. I don't see a reason why really any female would have a baby and say, well, I don't want to take my leave now, I'll take it 3 weeks from now. That doesn't really make any sense. I'd kind of like to see it have to be taken upon birth of the child, X amount of weeks. The dad, maybe a little bit of leeway on the dad, you know, a week or 2 after the kid's born, I could see that. But I'd like to suggest that staff, maybe our HR and her staff, put something together to present to us, is what I'd like to see and what they think, and let's start with that, and maybe we can tweak it from there. That would be my opinion. Thank you for all your hard work on this, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I had help.
Are there any more comments or questions from the board? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Thank you. Moving along, we will go to staff reports 10B, 5-year financial plan. Manager Rivas.
I'm going to turn it over to Finance Director Susie Micah for an update.
So what has been submitted to you in your packets this evening is the completed picture of the 5-year plan that includes all the departments and their, I don't want to say requests, but basically at that snapshot moment of where they thought any revenues that pertain to them, as well as their expenditures. We're taking that 5-year plan now. The perspective on that is to put it to the side now, as we're already knee-deep into 2027 budget. We're taking some of those numbers that we put in the 5-year plan for 2027, and we're inputting it right now as we're working on the 2027 budget. We have scheduled the week of August 24th will be the first week that Manager Rivas and myself will be meeting one-on-one with the departments to go through the first review of the budget request. Then a month later, per the budget calendar, in the week of September 21st, we'll be doing a second round of reviews on that, and then getting ready for the budget workshop presentation to the board and working on the tax levy and the proposals. So again, this is just an updated plan to show you where we think we may be at that moment in time.
Trustee Constanos.
Thank you. I have a question. Okay, so just so I understand and I'm reading this properly. For example, where it says property taxes, 10-000-440001. So for 24, it says 838,306. For 25, it says 747,644, which is a drop. And then for 26, it says 670,000, which is another drop. And it seems like then it slightly goes up in 27 and then slightly starts to go back up. Is there a reason why it dropped so significantly?
Yeah, that's because of pension funding. And that's because what we used as a threshold for actuarial reports before, when we were looking at the police pension funding levels, were about 4.5% to 5% levels, but in the last several years, they were between 7.5% and 8%. So when we were looking at this proposal going forward for future years, we're still looking at 4.5% to 5%, hoping that that trend will come back. Because your pension funding expenses going up, obviously you're taking from the property taxes for the general fund, and so that's why you see that decrease there. It's based on CPI, so in the last couple years we were, I'm going to say, fortunate in a way, because the way the tax levy reads is that you can do CPI or 5%, whichever is less, because there's that cap. So CPI, the one year was 6.9%, and then 6.2% the following year, so we were able to hit that 5% cap, so we were able to see a little bit of an increase to be able to recoup some of our expenses. But obviously with CPI being that high, that means inflation is high too. So just because you've got that 5% ability, you're really not gaining anything from that perspective. It's just where you're allocating those numbers.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Cordova.
So in May, we asked for the 5-year and we got one, and it totaled up to like about $40 million, give or take, of deficit in the 5 years, including 2026. When I look at the new one, the projected annual deficit of the new one, yes, it looks like we moved $8 million out of 2026 and deferred. I'm not sure what the actual number is to the front, but we added $31 million to the deficit. We went from, I'm just going to rattle off, 5.49 million 26 to 14.1 27, 12.6 28, 13.8 and 29, 13 and 30, and 12.1 and 31. Where the original 2 months ago, we had 13, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9. Going through and like comparing, it was like wastewater and water rates were going up and we were able to get more revenue, but how did we miss, or how did this change by $31 million in the last 2 months, 3 months?
So a large portion of that is because we didn't have some of the engineering projects and the public works areas for where they have their street projects, and the water and sewer line projects were not budgeted. So the presentation that was given to you didn't have those numbers in there. So when we got those projections from those departments and input them in here, this is where we landed.
I did sorry.
No, you still got the floor, go ahead.
Oh, I did like a analysis, I guess, forecast, and it seems as though by 2060, we don't even get close at, just assuming we just kind of cruise at this level, and I even added like a 12 to 15% revenue jump every year, which we have not done. How does this make sense? How do we get out of this? How do we stop this?
So one big thing that needs to take into play in this is that we have the pension laws that are out there that we have to be 90% funded by the year 2040. Okay, so the theory is that, and I believe if looking at our pension funds, both of our police and fire pension boards actually said that they want to be 100% funding. So when they submit their actuarial requests, their actuarial reports are based on 100% funding by year 2040. So that kind of puts us ahead of the game. The thought process is that when you're 90% or 100% funded by year 2040, then all that money that you see allocated in the general fund for property taxes for police and fire pension, those numbers should go drastically down. So those should go the opposite way, where now those should only be, instead of $3 million, let's say for the fire pension and $3 million for the police pension, now it's going to drop down to $500,000 to $1 million because they're fully funded. So the thought process in the actuarial reports is now you're not funding the pension funds anymore because they're fully funded, and you're able to use those fundings now into your general fund to use for your operating and your special projects and those projects going forward. There is talk in the legislation that they're looking at maybe passing on that funding mechanism down to 2050. I don't know where that's gone. From what I've gotten feedback on, it doesn't look like that's hit anywhere. There's a lot of talk, but nothing has changed. So providing that happens again in 2040, then the thought process again, you'll see the reverse side of it where the money will go reverted back. This exercise to show where the anticipated revenues are, which is relatively flat if you think about it, and looking at the general fund and the regular enterprise funds on that aspect, is that we need to look at other revenue streams to be able to keep up with pace with where our spending is at. So this, in my opinion, is a big wish list, and it's not reality. I think that we need to look at some of the projects that are important and sort of start. All projects are important. We need to start ranking them in terms of what's more important and start looking at other options. Assistant Village Manager Guerrero and I have sat down and had a conversation about a project that one of our streets that are in major disrepair that one of the residents just spoke about in one of our last meetings, and looking at there isn't any IEPA money or EPA money out there. We didn't get lucky enough to be selected for that 0% or less than 2% loan to be able to do those types of projects. So we're looking at other avenues in terms of how can we afford to do that. And we need to look at our 5-year capital plan and incorporate the financing with that and see what is realistic and what is not realistic. And from a financing perspective, is this doable or is this not doable? I think the other big thing in here that we find ourselves in the middle of is that we are leasing our vehicles with Enterprise Leasing Company. And the analysis is being done in the aspect as starting next year, as those leases start coming due, in order for us to keep those vehicles, the cost of those vehicles that you would have to pay out the lease may not be worth it to put that money into that vehicle that's already 3 years or 4 years old, whatever the agreement is on that lease, that we may want to take that money and put it as a down payment on a new vehicle that we'll now own and go back to a 5-year or 7-year or 10-year replacement program, depending on what type of vehicle it is, to get back on that replacement schedule. The discussions that we had too is in talking with our financing vendors, our financial institutions that we do business with. One of the things with looking at those vehicles that we're looking at replacing and getting out of the leasing aspect of it is if we take the 5 years, and for example, this year we just closed on our debt service bond for $516,000 or $18,000 to purchase the 3 squad cars and the chassis for the one of the dump truck vehicles. So taking that, having that set dollar amount every year for the next 5 years that we know that we're going to take on that debt, so that by the time year 6 comes along, that we're in this program of taking out debt to be able to buy these vehicles, then by the time the 6th year rolls around, we're already back at the year 1 that we took the loan out, and it's just, we're in this cycle, so now it's consistent, and we're even keel, and we're kind of not impacting the budget because we're in a steady plan and in a steady way of budgeting from that perspective, and we're able to afford it.
Yeah, my only worry about the replacement schedule of the vehicles, when we went and did the enterprise lease program, it almost forced us to kind of do certain vehicles every year. And I remember looking at that when it was pitched to us, and the vehicles, we deferred just tons of replacement for years and years, where some of the vehicles they were driving around were 22 years old. 15, 18 years old, 10, 15 years past their service. And when we talk about getting rid of a program like that, yes, cost savings, wonderful. But if we don't stick to a replacement schedule, then we'll be right back where we were 3 years ago or whatever it was, and looking at vehicles that are 20 years old that we're just stitching together in with duct tape just to make sure we can cut grass. So yes, I'm okay with what makes sense, but it actually has to. The execution has to be there too. So if we say we're going to get to a purchasing plan or a 5-6 year purchase plan, great. But if we don't do it now, we're just going to be pushing that along, and by 2029, instead of having 13 million, now we're looking at 15 because all of our vehicles are broken, and et cetera, et cetera.
You're exactly spot on. That is something that we are looking as a management team together, that we're all very cognizant of, and we're, again, having discussions and working on when we're looking at this 2027 budget and beyond. We have that tool in the back of our minds that this is what we want to tackle and we want to envision as we're working on the 27 plan.
That's all.
Trustee Kumar?
So our tax revenues, that's kind of pretty much fixed, right? There is not much you can do for that. The new buildings coming up, if you have that also is frozen because those are in TIF districts as well. So our tax overall revenue is frozen even with the new development. So what I feel is revenue-wise, it's really comes down to the commercial properties and the filling of commercial properties in terms of bringing more revenue into town at this point. And that is going to be our key and should be our focus as a board if we actually want to maintain this 5-year budget, which is negative is all I see, right? And pretty much that means we're biting into our general fund, which is not necessarily in the greatest shape, and we've been biting into it for years and years and years. So that is something we're really, on one side, we're going to have to cut our expenditure, plan out our expenditure, but on the other side, we have to bring in revenue even with those cuts, because I don't foresee all those cuts adding to the answer that, it brings it closer to zero, right? Even with what we're doing with the pensions, even with that maybe the pension being funded by 2050, even with all of those factors, I still don't see us closing that gap far enough to make us necessarily safe without pulling out of the general fund. Do you see that happening?
Well, I think it depends upon what new development comes online. I know that we'll be working closely with the community development director in terms of what is coming online. I know that we have some projects that are going to be coming to fruition and taking a look at what sales tax dollars those are going to generate, and then what property tax dollars those are going to generate, as well as
Sales tax
To kind
dollars.
of take a look at that, and then, look at other avenues in terms of what we can do to be able to continue the operations at the levels that we are. I know that we all want to be a high-performing organization and give our residents the best, so we're taking that very seriously as we're working on it, to kind of look through our projects and trim down as we're looking at the 27. That's part of the plan with the first review that we're doing for the week of August 24th is that everybody will have their numbers in. And it's live with having this BSNA software, so as everybody's inputting in there, at any point in time, we can go in there and we can see at that moment what we're looking at. And so after that first review, the manager and I will be able to sit down and look and say, okay, what's realistic, where do we need to take a look at, and have those meetings with the directive of the manager and see what needs to be done and whatnot, to go for that second review in September and then bring it forth to the board as well.
Now, our overall revenue stream in 2026, has it been on par or above what it was in 2025 at this
We've been pretty
point?
much on par, except that sales tax has been performing a little bit better than anticipated.
Okay, so a tiny bit better, but not that much significant changes.
I think that that's arbitrary.
Okay.
I get excited when I look at a number and it, sales tax has gone up $200,000, let's say, for example. For me, that's exciting, because that's bigger than
Expected.
1% or 2%. So from that standpoint, that's why I think sales tax, even though what we projected, it's performing above what we even projected. So for me, that's exciting, and that shows that our residents are spending money in our town, and our visitors that come visit us are spending money in here, and that's helping us overall as well.
Okay. I just had a little bit of, question of where we stand this year, because the 5-year plan is one thing, but where we stand as comparison to last year, that makes a big difference in terms of how we view that 5-year plan, in my opinion. So if we are seeing some rises, that's a good thing, absolutely good, but it's still a big gap is what I see in that 5-year plan to close. And I know that's a wish list, right? It's all that we want to do, and we need to prioritize within that wish list what we can and what we can't, and that's kind of our 5-year plan, I get that. But at the same time, we want to give as much as possible to the residents, as a board member as well. So that's kind of where I'm at, that we really need to carefully think about that wish list.
Director Micah, I do have a couple of clarifying questions for you. Regarding our ambulance fees, you have them listed as $2.1 million in 2024, but it goes down to $2 million in 2026, and then further to $1.7 million in 2027 through 2031. Why the decrease?
Because we have to reimburse those monies to GEMT with the GEMT program. So it's the agency that we partner with that gets a percentage of that every quarter. We return those fees back to them.
Thank you. And just a couple more similar to that, like regarding our cannabis tax, it's listed at $333,000 in 2024, but drops to $190K in 2026 through 2031. Are we expecting a decrease in that revenue?
For which line item, I'm sorry?
The cannabis tax? Listed as $333,000 in 2024, but drops to $190K in 2026 through 2031.
So we labeled that flat because there was some concern that one of our dispensaries was filing bankruptcy and there was some sort of reorganization that was going on. So we wanted to be conservative on that, and that's why that was budgeted from a conservative perspective. So until we know what the outcome of that situation is, that's where those numbers come in that way.
Okay, no, excellent. I mean, you could see why I would be concerned about why there'd be a decrease there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Lastly, regarding our building permits, 1.1 million in 2025, then drops to 500K for 2026 through 2031.
So part of that is the building permits that we had is because of the union coming on board, that we don't really, from my understanding with the previous community development director, is we built, budget conservatively in terms of what we think for building permits that are going to come in. And part of the building permits are people that are replacing their decks, putting an addition on their home, any kind of those types of additions and improvements to their property. We budget for those conservatively, and then if we're pleasantly surprised, which in this instance we was, is because of the union coming on board, and we got that money right at the very end of 2025. And so that's why it looks, and that's also unaudited too. We're still in the middle of our audit to make sure that we capture those revenues in the right period.
Okay, thank you. So regarding the ambulance fee, or well, the cannabis and the building permits at least, those could fluctuate depending on what happens in the future regarding this.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any more questions for the board, from the board? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so moving forward, we have our monthly reports. Finance report from June 2026, a FOIA report May and June 2026, the gaming reports for June 2026, Parks and Recreation monthly report for June 2026, the capital project update, Parks and Public Works, June, partial July 2026, and the police report for June 2026. Is there any discussion on any of those reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to 11A, ordinance for the first reading. Ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Chapter 26 of the Villa Park Municipal Code regarding administrative adjudication. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance would allow Community and Economic Development, CED, to schedule code enforcement adjudication hearings once per month instead of every 2 weeks by adopting a section of the Illinois Municipal Code that was previously only available to home rule municipalities. This is a first reading.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, moving along to 11B, an ordinance, the Village of Villa Park amending Section 2-402, Villa Park Municipal Code regarding special meetings. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance would amend the Villa Park Municipal Code to provide that a request to hold a special meeting of the Board of Trustees must be submitted at least 5 business days prior to the start of the meeting, except in the event of a bona fide emergency. This is a first reading.
Okay, is there any discussion on 11B? Okay, seeing none, moving forward, 11C, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Section 25-104 of the Villa Park Municipal Code regarding water rates and charges. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works staff presented the possibility of raising water rates during the June Committee of the Whole meeting. As part of the discussion, it was to split the current rate into a pass-through charge for the supply of water and an operations charge for the village to maintain the water distribution system in the community. This is a first reading.
Do we have any discussion on 11C? Trustee Kumar?
Can you explain if it's a full pass-through, a half pass-through, what are we doing? Just
We'll
clarify
be calling
for the
upon Assistant
residents.
Village Manager Mike Ware.
Thank you, Your Honor. To answer the trustee's question, it's a full pass-through. So the current rate right now that's written in the memo is $5.89 per 1,000 gallons. That would be straight pass-through. How we've set these ordinance up would be anytime there's an automatic increase by DWC, they do their annual increases and set in April, implement in May, then the next billing cycle will adopt that on their end. This kind of provides that transparency and takes the guesswork out of when we're setting rates for the several years of what that rate the DWC is going to do. And that way we can just focus on our debt services, our operations, and our capital improvement projects. But it would be a full pass-through. So the rate that the village gets charged for that water would be the same rate the residents get charged.
Okay, so we're just passing through what we're being charged. I'm just clarifying that for the resident purpose, that's all.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, moving forward to item 12A, ordinance for second reading, ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending sections 14-206 and 14-207 of the Villa Park Municipal Code regarding parking restrictions on Terrace Street. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Plan Commission recommends amending the village code to allow overnight parking on Terrace Street. This change is designed to accommodate the loss of parking spaces due to alley construction adjacent to the residence on the north side of Terrace. The first reading was held on July 13, 2026. This is a second reading.
Do I have a motion for the ordinance?
Make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second?
I can second.
Trustee Alfano, thank you. Is there any discussion? Trustee Kumar.
I just would like to ask if staff got anyone to comment on this during the weeks between the first and second reading.
No, we did not.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Constados?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving forward to ordinances, item 13A, ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, approving an agreement with Leggett Architects to provide professional architectural services related to the CAR 321 Historic Rail Car Project. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Village staff is seeking approval via board resolution to engage Leggett Architects to assist with the schematic design, construction documentation, bidding, and construction of improvements related to CAR 321 Historic Rail Car Project.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano, thank you. Is there any discussion? Trustee Kumar.
Is this only for the outside, or is it for outside, inside?
Manager Rivas.
I'll defer to CD Director Brandon Nolan.
So this would be just for the site planning and the pavilion. It's not for the interior work.
Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. Is this something that we are using not just for the planning of the project, but also if any grants should become available? I know that there was like a tiered ask.
Exactly right. So we basically scoped it so we can make a kind of bigger ask in our grants that involve more site planning, more amenities to really kind of make this a gem. And then we can ratchet back our ask depending on what grants we get a response on.
These are typically those things like OSLAD would ask for something like this or any other.
Correct.
Thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
I remember having a discussion with our representative, Sean Caston, about the inside and possible grants from a historical museum perspective. So that's something that kind of I would like to put on the radar. I don't know if there's going to be cost savings from having that done at once, but it's something I'd like to think about.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Trustee Kumar. Also, not long ago, we did a tour with the National Rails to Trails program as well. That also opened up some other possibilities as well. We talked about also applying for potential historical markers along our portions of the Prairie Path as well. I think all in all, CAR 321 is going to be an amazing project for the area. It's going to be something that a lot of people are attracted to in Villa Park here. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Constados?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, ordinance is 13B, an ordinance amending section 3-13A of the Municipal Code of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, decreasing the number of Class AAA liquor licenses and increasing the number of Class I liquor licenses. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance would adjust the number of liquor licenses available with the AAA and I classifications. The village board previously denied the ordinance after first and second reading, but the applicant requested that it be revisited. The Liquor Control Commission recommended approval.
Do I have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Cordova, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Trustee Kumar? Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Constados?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along to item 14A, resolution of Village, Villa Park, Illinois, adopting a remote attendance policy. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The proposed policy establishes procedures for remote participation by board members in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act. The policy was tabled at the July 13, 2026 Village Board meeting and is being brought back for consideration.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Kozar. Is there any discussion? Trustee Cordova.
How much does this change that now we're looking to push special meetings of 5 days? I'm sorry, am I missing something?
What? You're on the wrong thing.
Over here?
Remote.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm all right. So, the remote attendance policy, right, we talked about it only being for special meetings, and now, just earlier as a first reading, we talked about having a 5-day run-up, 5 business day run-up, so it's a whole week, because we usually, I don't actually know if we have to have our special meetings on Monday, but that's what we've typically done. So my question is, how much does this change the need for this resolution if we're moving to 5 days run-up? Does it or does it not? I mean, I feel like because it was 48 hours and we had some on, Friday night, special meeting request, that it's a quick turnaround. But now we would have to have that done by Monday or Friday, the Friday before. So so let me just make sure I have this right. So if I wanted to ask for a special meeting on August 3rd, which is a whole week away, I wouldn't be able to. The closest I'd be able to do is August 4th, right? Because it's 5 business days. Is that enough time for us as a collective group to figure out if our travel or I know there's a sick or you're not feeling well, you can do that, death in the family, I get that. But those are some of those things where you may not need to. And I will say, even I didn't go to the executive session our last meeting. I didn't feel great at all. So I went home. That would have been an opportunity for me to jump on, but I wouldn't be able to because I would have to have a run-up of X amount of days in order to get approval for that. Is that correct?
No, the run-up to it is not part of the policy. Like the 5 days that we were talking about with calling the special meeting, that's not part of needing to be allowed to be in the special meeting. It does need to be 24 hours.
So I wouldn't be able to, so if I felt like, okay, I was getting a migraine last,
case, yes.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Correct.
Okay. So even if you're sick, like if you're sick for a few days, I get that, but if, like me last time, or last meeting, I didn't feel great. Okay. That's just something to think about, since we're having a 5-day, 7-day run-up, I'm okay with not.
Trustee Cordova, just for clarification, you're not calling for a special meeting on August 3rd, are you? 'Cause I don't
No, please, no.
Okay.
No more,
Thank you.
no more.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Attorney Morton.
If I understand what you're saying, Trustee Cordova, and I do think that, I don't get a vote, but in my opinion, if you're giving 5 days to have a special meeting, then it's easier to plan your schedule and know what's available. However, there is still the exception to the 5-day rule in the special meeting for a genuine emergency. And so if there is a genuine emergency that comes up, this policy would allow someone to participate remotely, even if they weren't, even if you didn't have the 5 days beforehand.
Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. I am mostly in favor of this policy, but I do have some reservations about executive session and the ability of Zoom to be able to record, although I'm sure we would probably see that. It usually will give you something that says that this meeting is recorded, whatever our platform is. But I know that there have been requests of us to make sure that we are not recording even when we are in session together. And so that would be my biggest concern, is with executive session.
Trustee Alfano, I share your concern as well, is that we wouldn't want that to happen. I've said this in the previous meeting as well, though, is that I think as elected officials, we have the responsibility to make sure that our area is secured and that we are in a secure location, that we are not near anybody else that could be listening in or watching those meetings as well. One of the concerns that I would have then also is that the recording itself, where does that go? Does that go with the clerk? Are we going to have issues being able to review that from the clerk? How is that going to be obtained? But all in all, I am in favor of this policy as well. But Attorney Morton, maybe you could chime in here about the duties or the responsibilities of that Zoom recording.
Well, first, I would say that the policy does allow for denying someone to participate remotely in executive session, even if they participated during open session, because a separate vote needs to be taken in closed session to allow that person to participate. So if there is a concern among a majority of the board members in closed session about being able to, validate that the person is in a private, secure location, then you don't have to let that person participate in executive session. But there is a duty incumbent upon any elected official who's participating in closed session, whether they be in person or remotely, that any conversation that occurs in closed session is going to be held confidential, because there are reasons for that. It's there to protect the village and the people who are being discussed, or the items that are being discussed in executive session. So there is a duty upon the participants in executive session to make sure that that is not being overheard by other people.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozar.
I'd like to make a motion to remove the 24-hour notice requirement. We saw an example of that the last time we had executive session. Trustee Cordova had a migraine, wasn't able to participate directly. If that 24-hour notice was removed, we could then take a vote on it and allow him to view it remotely. I don't see the benefit of the 24-hour. I mean, the board still has the discretion whether or not to allow it to happen. So if it's a legitimate reason, the board can use some reason and do it.
So is that a motion to amend the resolution to remove the 24-hour notice?
That's correct.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Trustee Constados. Is there any further discussion on that amendment? Trustee Cordova.
I think that's fair when we're talking about, actually, no, I'm okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Trustee Alfano?
Thank you. So we're looking at section 3, item 1 to be removed, but 2 and 3 would still be part of that, correct? Or included? So that's the, 1 reads, "The member must notify the village president and the designated administrative assistant to the board at least 24 hours before the meeting unless advance notice is impractical." And then we also have a 2 and a 3, which talks about the reasons why. And then the quorum of the board must be physically present at the location of the public meeting. Those would still be included in section 3. We're just striking 1.
Yes, right?
I just want to clarify.
I don't see.
If you're asking me, I'm trying to pull it up so I can read
It's
it.
274 of our very long packet.
Right, and I'm just getting the little thing that's swirling around here.
I can actually chime in, though, on this, trustee. Those other 2 requirements are statutory,
Okay,
so they can't be removed.
then that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on the amendment of the resolution?
No, the only other thing is, just for the general public, but we actually have to vote on if we allow that person to join this meeting, and it's only for special meetings. Not executive session, just special meetings. That's it.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the resolution.
I'm sorry. Just to clarify, you can have executive session within a special meeting, and it would still be allowed?
Yeah.
Okay. If you vote to let the person in.
Right. Most of them have special meeting or executive session. That's what I meant.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the resolution made by Trustee Kozar and seconded by Trustee Constados. No further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Constados.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving forward to Resolution 14B.
That was just to amend.
Oh, I apologize. That was to amend. So now back to the original motion made by Trustee Constados, seconded by Trustee Kozar. Just go right into the vote then. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay. Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Constados.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that resolution passes. Moving along to 14B, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing and approving the first addendum to the Memorandum of Understanding of the Western Chicagoland Merger Oversight Alliance. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This resolution is to join other municipalities along the Union Pacific Railroad in the Western Chicagoland Merger Oversight Alliance. The alliance is to recognize the public interest in having their analysis, potential participation, and/or advocacy in proceedings occurring before the United States Surface and Transportation Board, or STB, related to the proposed Union Pacific Railroad merger with Norfolk Southern Railway.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Cordova. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
All right, Trustee
She
Alfano.
can have it.
All right. Is there any discussion? Trustee Cordova.
I'm glad that we're here and this is on and we're making a move here. I do ask that Village Manager Rivas go to bat for us, right? You know, we have a place at the table, but I feel like if we look at all the other places that are there, they have overpasses, they have some really nice stuff. I think between all of them and us, we have the most opportunity here, so try to get us the absolute most and nothing less. Thank you.
Understood.
You have your marching orders.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Constados?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving forward, do we have any unfinished business? Okay, seeing none, moving forward to 16A, new business, 823 North Harvard Dog Park, staff report. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be turning this over to CED Director Brandon Nolan for a discussion on the possible dog park staff report.
Good evening. I provided a memo to you all, kind of laying out the highlights of the project as well as an exhibit from Confluence, a landscape architecture firm. Basically following up in some conversations with Trustee Kumar, we've looked into the possibility of what it would take to design and install a dog park at the property we own up at Wildfire and Harvard. Essentially, depending on how many bells and whistles you want to include, we're looking at a range between 125 to 460K based on the numbers from the landscape architect. Obviously, that's a wide range. They are very familiar with this type of project. They're doing a couple of projects in the region, including active work with the city of Lincolnwood right now on the same type of effort, similar scale. So I do trust their numbers. Ultimately, it's up to us to decide kind of what type of park we'd want to develop, but per the staff memo, we'd recommend budgeting about $400,000 if we were going to really look at something that would be an amenity for the residents. This is within a TIF district, so it's something we can look into. But you know, looking at this property, it's an odd piece that we do happen to own because of the history that we have with that project. With that said, this could be a good use and amenity for the area. If the village board wants us to look into it further, we can do that.
Trustee Constados?
Thank you. That area it's not a flood area, is it?
I do not believe it's within the floodplain, no. Okay. That's something, I mean, I know we've had issues with that property having some water in it, but it might be more maintenance than floodplain issues, frankly.
Trustee Kumar?
I do think it's a good location because it's abetting a commercial zone, and for that reason, I think it's a good thing to look at. But I would like, even a dog park has some legal issues with it. I would like our legal to vet out what our possibilities are for warning signs and stuff as we get, you know, closer to the architectural design. It is a smaller property. I did some analysis about only 0.33 acres, which is on the smaller side for a dog park in general, which may not give us all the facility that we're looking for. So it might have to be for, we figure it out for 10 to 15 dogs is what kind of I see at a time. So with the double gating and all that, it does cut into the property to about a quarter acre of a dog park in general. I would like to send this to our Garden Village Commission and our Parks and Rec to look at the possibilities there and give us some feedback before we start any kind of architectural design, just so we get a little bit more information. And, I think it's a good project for them to step up on and kind of think about. And possibly research possible external grants. I did see that you could get a $50,000 grant sometimes from an external source, and they've been giving a lot. I forgot the exact name. I'll get it to them so they can research those grants. OSLED, I don't know if this is a possible OSLED project. That's something to look at as well. I do know I don't want to spend all our TIF monies in this project necessarily, because we have to think about the future of Villa Park with those TIF monies as well, not just one park. And look at, have them also look into local sponsorships for this particular park. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a very positive idea for Villa Park. It's something that our residents have been looking for, but I think, we need to put a little bit more detail into this and get a little bit more feedback.
Trustee Kumar, I'm going to request that if we do send this to a commission, that we send it to the Garden Village Commission first, just so that way there's no overlap in research and things like that.
Yeah, and we could even split up what facility or what they facilitate. I think that Parks and Rec has traditionally worked on OSLED type granting, so maybe have them do one aspect and we split up what they do so that we get more information.
And then lastly, my request from staff would be, I would like to know a little bit more about liability insurance and what that looks like, and then also like compliance with enforcement for that dog park moving forward. Trustee Cordova?
Yeah, I was kind of just to build on that, we'll probably end up having to have a registration of dog type thing again. We had that at one point in Villa Park. I don't believe we have that anymore. So that's going to be just, staff and whatnot, so. Cool.
Trustee Constados?
Thanks. Piggybacking off of that, because I was going to say that as far as the registration goes. Another thing I was going to ask was, is this a park only for Villa Park residents only? I know that some, I think Elmhurst has a membership actually that you have to have. Would we be looking into doing something of that nature as well? Maybe having the membership would then enforce having to have your dog registered as well, and having some sort of a pass that, other parks have, that you have to have around your neck on a lanyard that shows that you have the right to be there with your dog. Might be something we want to look into. Another suggestion, just having a dog and having a new dog now in our family, I'd like to see with an entrance and an exit separate. Kind of like a holding area almost. We don't want to get into a situation where there's a dog coming in and going out at the same time and maybe having conflict of two dogs being together in one small little area. So maybe a separate enter and exit might be a good idea, and definitely some water for the dogs. I think the sponsorship is something that we had talked about before too. It could be used, the money and funding from that could be used to help maintain the park, by simply having businesses or people who would like to sponsor it by putting like signs up along the perimeter of the fence line or something of that nature would be nice, or having some sort of like maybe into the entranceway, maybe pavers or something with business names or people's names on it. Could be a nice idea as well for that. Something to just look into and a suggestion, that's all. But I'm all for a dog park. I'm all for it being on the north side of Villa Park, only because the north side residents always think that they're forgotten about. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Trustee Kumar?
I also, when doing some reading about this, like you talked about how you have a younger dog and sometimes it's not ideal. I think when we get to the actual specifics, we might want to notice that on the fencing or whatever to go in the dog, because it's not, dog parks are great for social dogs, but not necessarily for the youngest of dogs. It might be overstimulating. There are aspects to that when I was reading about the effects, the pros and cons. So that's something that we also have to think about on top of the liability. Vaccinations, of course, that's something that we have to have on file, because we do not want to be passing disease from dog to dog as well. So that's, all of that has to come into effect, and we've got to be looking at all of those things. So at the same time, and I think the registration idea is actually a good idea. I think you should be registered, maybe a very small fee to use the park for a residence, and maybe a larger fee, because that then forces the registration, and if they have a fob or something to get in, it has to be in and out, because I think that park with the size, maybe 10 to 15 dogs, so if it gets over full, you want to have something stopping people from going in with their dog. So these are aspects that need to be vetted out as well.
Trustee Constados?
Thank you. Shoot, I kind of lost it now. You were talking about so many things, and I wanted to piggyback off something with that, with the amount of dogs and stuff. Definitely a sign with the rules would be helpful as well, you know, X amount of dogs in the park at one time. You know, whether it's going to be an on-leash or off-leash makes a big difference. Some dogs being off-leash and some being on-leash doesn't mesh well. So just a sign with the rules and whatnot, you know, whether if we go with membership or we don't, that's on there as well, that you know, you have to be a member, you have to wear your lanyard or whatever that shows you're a member. Things like that would be great to look into.
And again, my only request is that I think initially we send this to one commission to start off with, and I'm going to let the board decide whether that should be the Garden Village or the Parks and Recreation Commission.
I think we can start with Garden Village and move it to Parks and Rec after that, and just for extra input. I think because they both have the skills to address that, it may be a good idea.
Is everybody else in agreement to send it to Garden Village Commission?
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what we'll do. We'll send this talking topic to the Garden Village Commission as a topic on possibly their next agenda.
All right.
All right. All right. Is there any other discussion?
Oh, no.
Okay. Moving forward, is there any other new business? Trustee Constados.
Thank you. I have two things I'd like to add, please, and thank you. The first thing is I did make an appointment, and I went down and met with the owner of Fingers and Faces, and actually had a nice discussion, and we actually walked that area for about an hour and kind of looked at the businesses there, the parking there, and the changes that I know we just approved. And I'd like to make a suggestion of possibly doing a coffee with the board in that area, and/or have some of the trustees and our village manager and some staff maybe meet there on a certain day, ask some business owners to meet us as well, and kind of walk the area together. I know that staff has already looked at this area. I think that like when you physically walk that area and you walk it with the business owners and you listen to kind of like their needs, and you see firsthand the spots that are there, and the signage is very confusing. There's signs that just simply say parking with an arrow, but you can't determine whether that's public parking, is that Demito's parking, is that, you know, More Brewing's parking. I think a little, so to speak, field trip or coffee with the board might be a nice idea, to sit down and take a look at that area firsthand and discuss whether we're making the right decision on that. I hate to see us constantly change the parking over and over and over again. So that is something I'd like to discuss further. Another thing I'd like to discuss and bring up again is we received an email, once again, from a resident about the 1330 Villa Avenue home. And I would really like to address this and see if council can look into what we have available that we can do about this. Apparently, this is something that's been going on for years and years and years. I know previous administrations have said constantly there's nothing we can do. I'm not buying that. There's got to be something we can do and enforce. The complaints just keep getting to be more and more and more. So I really think we need to try to look into this further and come up with some sort of a solution or something that we can do to help the residents out on this situation.
Trustee Kumar? Oh, I'm sorry,
can we-
excuse me, hold on one second.
Are you done?
Director Nolan, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Yes, I think I sent an email regarding this earlier this week. This has been an ongoing case. As you know, I'm kind of in almost month 3 here, so this was brought to my attention, I want to say like week 2. So I did look into it. That property, from what's been communicated to me by the property owner, is violating our zoning ordinance. So we sent a notice of violation indicating that basically they've taken what is a single-family property and are now letting it out as if it were a multifamily property. So any zoning nonconformity that did exist because it was vacant for so long went away. So it is now a single-family property within a single-family zoning district. So we are in the process of, we've given them notice, we've met with them a couple times, talked about the issue, are communicating them about the tenants that are at the property, and asked for him to give us a timeline about when those leases would be ending, which are not legal in the village's eyes. He's given us a timeline. We're not necessarily satisfied with that timeline, and so we're pushing him to kind of continue to make progress. We are at the stage where we'll be issuing citations because of the lack of progress that we're seeing in negotiations.
Okay. And I'm assuming we've discussed with council our options from that point on, should there not be any complaints with that. And just out of curiosity, so our residents know, what is the timeline that he had given us that we're not accepting?
He had shared with the multiple units that he's renting currently, he had shared a timeline of up till December to have some of these units vacated. And we told him that would not work with the village's idea of what should be an acceptable timeline.
And does the property owner live on the property as well? Do we know?
This is a unique case where it is owned by an LLC. The LLC, basically, the two members are suing one another, so it's still technically owned by both members. One LLC member lives on the property, another one does not. And we've been engaging with the person that's on the property. Both of them received the notices and everything has been in triplicate, essentially.
So then my ask would just be, as we progress through this, if we could get some sort of an update occasionally, so that way we can let our residents know that, especially the ones that live in that area, that are being bothered by all of it.
Absolutely. And as we hear of any additional violations that aren't related to the zoning, like the garbage or any other issues, we ask that we be alerted about that, because that's an additional citation or notice that we can issue.
Thank you.
Trustee Constados, one thing that I just want to circle back on about when you were talking about the parking in the area over by Fingers and Faces there.
Villa, yes.
One of the things that I would request is that we've all seen the new development, the Union going up right now, about a year and a half before that project is complete, and that we have those parking spots that are covered, designated down there.
Right.
One of the things that I would like to do is after the project is complete there, I'd like for the Plan Commission to look back at the parking in the area again to see how that goes into effect with everything.
I was actually going to say, if we choose to do, like, whether we do a coffee with the board in that area, or we do kind of like a field trip, I'll call it, maybe we could actually bring a picture of the plan of what the building of the Union is supposed to look like and where the parking is supposed to go, because there was question stating that we know that there's going to be parking additional for public, but where's that parking going to be? Is it going to be at the back of the building, the front of the building? How can you access it? So maybe if we could bring a couple pictures as well to that meeting so the business owners can see firsthand and we can see how you're going to enter and exit and whatnot, get a better idea of the picture. And it might end up changing after the building goes up, but I just want to make sure before we do everything and finalize it, that we really, really look at what we're...
Sure. And there's a lot of changes going on in that area in particular, too. And I know that the village has also been in plans or working on designs for the parking lot that's outside of the Historical Museum. That might be an opportunity for us to bring to that meeting as well.
That was another thing that I was going to discuss was talking about signage in that area and parking being so questionable. A lot of people don't realize that is public parking and that you can park there and there's no time limit. Getting some sort of a sign, not like a sign on a stick, I'm thinking like a bigger sign that addresses like, public parking, no time limit, free, just so people know they can park in that lot. And then there's also the parking on the other side of that lot as well, that people aren't aware. And then the last parking area that was questionable was that parking area east, where the apartment building is, that's parking on the street. There's confusion whether or not that parking belongs to the apartment people, and they're being told it doesn't. However, it's being occupied by the apartment people, even though they have a parking lot. So that was questionable as well. So this is where the signage kind of comes in very confusing, which was why I kind of wanted some of us, or all of us if we could, to go down and just kind of walk the area, take a look, and make some notes of changes that could be made. And it might just be simple signage that we could do, you know what I mean?
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
Yeah, along, piggybacking off of that a little bit, there's also the issue of where the handicap spots are on that street, and I feel like those need to be moved in a direction where they're much better access for handicapped people. Certainly, having had a handicapped person in my life, I think they're kind of squished in the wrong direction.
That was addressed.
Yeah, and so that's one thing that we need to look at. And also, as the union goes in, the signage, they shouldn't be really, they should have solid plans at this point, at least, of where you go in for the parking and the signage. When 302 goes in, I assume also that parking is gonna get rather full, and we are gonna have parking issues again, because as that is a popular restaurant. I was just across from there this week in Wheaton, and it was crowded as heck. So I do assume that's gonna happen as well. So that's something we need to know, because a lot of times that's where the 302 people will end up parking to go to 302, the Historical Society. So we got to plan for that as well. There was discussion of an app that would show people where they could park in Villa Park. And I don't know where that went. There was that discussion at one point. And what happened with that, where you would know where the empty public parking spots were, and that you can kind of move towards that. I don't know where that went, or if it was ever implemented. It existed, kind of, that discussion happened, it was not really feasible. I would like an update on that. And that was a while back. That was during a previous administration, I think, so.
Trustee Constados.
Sorry. And then I wasn't sure if this was for under old business or unfinished business or what, but I hate to say it again, but the food trucks, I need to mention the food trucks. I just, an update, are we in the process of putting something together for that? And then just the disciplinary procedures for employees that we talked about, if our HR person is working on that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? Okay, seeing none, moving forward to Village Commission reports. We have 17A, the Fund Commission meeting minutes held on May 26, 2026. 17B, the Plan Commission meeting minutes held on April 15th, 2026 and May 20th, 2026. 17C, the Green Commission minutes held on June 16th, 2026. 17D, Community Recreation Commission meeting minutes held on April 22nd, 2026. And 17E, the Villa Park Growth Commission meeting minutes held on April 22nd, 2026 and June 24th, 2026. Is there any discussion on Village Commissioner reports? Okay, seeing none, moving forward, Village Clerk's report.
No report?
Okay, Village Trustees report, starting on my left. Trustee Kumar?
Yeah, I would like to start by, first of all, thanking Dr. Barbenante for coming out and giving her discussion about what's going on in District 88 and giving us that information on the referendum. I would also like to say I was very, very happy to go to the Green Commission meeting this past week, and there was a lot of good ideas that came from that meeting, starting with, and we had this discussion already about having the bait boxes, and there was a discussion also that came out of that meeting, thanks to some of the commissioners, about recycling the fishing line and having boxes for that at a very reasonable cost to the village. It would be $100, and probably that's for 6 months, not that much money to do that. And that was vetted out, and so that was a really great idea. Keep VP Clean campaign, putting a video together to clean up Villa Park from your own personal perspective, and how you can do that. That came out of that meeting. You know, little things you can do on your own. Pick up cans on the side of the road, recycle them, do what you can as a resident. Having a discussion, having some ideas and talking points. They wanted to put something like that together. I think that's a really, really great idea that came out of that meeting, and that was great. We also talked about composting, where we can compost. I want to make it evident that LRS will let you compost anything you need to compost with your leaf pickup. So if you want to throw your composting scraps into your leaf bags, that is allowed by LRS at this point, and when you put out the leaf bags, they will compost it for you. So that's one way. Another thing that was looked at as a location for a community composting site, and that discussion happened. So I'm very, very happy that we came to all these discussions, and I hope to grow these. I think our first recommendation came to us from this commission, and I was very impressed with Mike Storino running the meeting, and having Rhonda Coleman, and at that point, Jennifer Hamilton there for this particular meeting. I am waiting to meet Leanna House because some of the composting ideas came from her. So this is just a thank you to all of them on the Green Commission. I think they have started have a great start, and they're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
That's it.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to let everybody know one of the commissions that I'm a liaison of, the Villa Park Community Recreation Commission, is sponsoring a sports equipment swap on Saturday, August 8th from 10 to 2 at St. Paul Lutheran Church. They have a drop-off, so if you have any gear, they're looking for donations of equipment from all sports, accepted on Friday, August 7th, so the night before, from 5 to 7, also at St. Paul's Church. The swap is open to everyone, and all donated equipment will be available free of charge. Whether you're clearing out your gear that your children have outgrown, or you're looking for equipment they'll use next, this is a great opportunity to support sustainability, save money, and connect with the community. So that's coming up on Saturday, August 8th. We also have Villa Fest, that is just around the corner, Saturday, August 22nd, from 11 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. I know that the subcommittee is graciously opening up any volunteer opportunities. So if you are interested in volunteering for a few hours at Villa Fest, please reach out to them. I want to thank our first responders the police department and the fire department for today's activities with the storm. I know that there were a lot of things going on, and likewise with our parks and, with our public works. I was out there, I got stuck in that, and it was slow moving, but thank you very much for kind of clearing it and moving things along and keeping people safe. So we really do appreciate that. Let's see, and I think that's all I have. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. On my right, Trustee Constados.
Thank you, yes. I just wanted to say thank you to all the residents out there during the bad weather who took the time to go out and clear out the sewers. I know we had a lot of rain and a lot of bad storms going on, so thank you for going out there and doing that. And just to remind everybody, during the harsh heat that we've been having, just kind of check on your elderly neighbors, make sure that they're okay, knock on the door, give them a call if you have their number. Other than that, I hope everybody gets through the heat, and I hope not many people had damage to their homes from all the rain. Other than that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Cordova?
There's still quite a few people without power in Villa Park. And I was out in power today, and I had a couple inches of water in parts of my basement. So I get it. I feel it, felt it today. Spent like $500 at Home Depot. Manager Rivas texted me. I texted him, and I said, I've got some water. I might not make it. And he offered me a shop vac, and I was in the parking lot of Home Depot. So I'm going to make a post about just some easy things. And one of the things that I did wrong was I let my front gutter get clogged, and so that water popped over and just seeped in. So just some easy little things that we can do that I think it's easy to kind of forget. You know, it's really hot. You know, yes, there's a storm, but we got smoked in July here in Villa Park with that early one, and then this one, and luckily that second band missed us. So, there are cooling centers if it gets too hot. If you need help with your basement, reach out to a neighbor if you don't have anything. And it's Villa Park. We're always willing to go out and clear a gutter or move branches for somebody's front lawn or from the driveway. So. Just more than anything, just I understand it, I feel it, and, we'll just keep working through it. That's it.
Okay. Trustee Kozar?
So, I want to apologize to Chief Stapleton, our fire chief. A couple of weeks ago, as a board, we were denied going into executive session. And so we had a public discussion here on the dais, which was regarding 2-330. And the short of it is that trustees should not be going to employees of our village, our staff, and talking about employment matters. And I wasn't clear enough when I mentioned Chief Stapleton's name. And I apologize for that. Chief Stapleton did nothing wrong and did not violate the statute. I brought that up because I wanted to address Trustee Kumar's behavior and her careless action of coming to you and talking about employment issues. This is in part why we have 2-330, is that if you have an employment issue, or you want to talk about employment issues, you go to the manager. You don't go to individual staff and talk about it. And it's a two-way street. Staff doesn't go to individual trustees. But Trustee Kumar violated that, and she put you in a really lousy position. And I'm not apologizing for Trustee Kumar for doing that, but I am apologizing that I wasn't more clear when I brought that up. I in no way intended to single you out or in any way imply that you did anything wrong. You actually did everything right. And you modeled what would be desired from anybody in staff and any employee. You immediately made a report of it and you went to the manager, and that's what the statute calls for. So I know that you reacted or interpreted that, that I was singling you out. And I just wanted to make very clear and publicly that I did not intend to do that, and I apologize for that. But we up here on, as the board, we need to follow the rules that we have sworn to adhere to and enforce, and that was not done here, and there's no excuse for it. This is, you know, when trustees go to staff, there's a power dynamic there, and, you know, what is staff supposed to do? There's just no excuse for it. So we had two issues. One is that a trustee would actually do that, and number two is that a majority of the board would vote to deny executive session, and that's where this discussion should have been, but we were prevented from having it there. And these are sometimes the repercussions of that. These are the, I don't know if they're intended or unintended consequences, but we end up, as I said a couple meetings ago, we end up airing our dirty laundry, and people get injured doing that. And that's no way to act as a board. So I would like everybody on this board to think before they act and understand that we're in a managerial form of government. So if you have a problem with an employee, you go to the manager and you discuss that. You don't go to individual employees and bring that up. And vice versa. If staff has problems with employees, they go to the manager. They don't go to the trustees and talk to it. There's reasons for these ordinances, and we need to adhere to them. We need to lead by example. So I know it seems like up here on the board, at least on my end, a lot of times I talk about, you know, things that I'm unhappy with or things that are failing in our village. So I want to end with a couple positive things that are going on in our village. And earlier today, I was just thinking about some of the new businesses that are coming into Villa Park and that have recently been opened up. So I came up with, just off the top of my head, a quick list of 10, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of them. So if anybody wants to help me and throw out a few new businesses that I missed, but positive things going on in Villa Park. We have the Union that is making great strides with the building over on Villa. We have the new Chinese restaurant that opened up or is opening up on St. Charles Road. We have a new coffee house called Mickey's. A few meetings ago, we met the owners of Puerto Nuevo Mexican restaurant, and they're opening up, or have opened up. Moore is putting in plans to build a beer garden where the old Pioneer Feed and Grain Store was. That'll be exciting. 302 Villa is kind of right on the cusp of being opened up. 5 West Park, new restaurant, we saw them last meeting. The Oasis is opening up. We have Hobbytown over where the Jewelry Exchange is. And we have a food pantry on St. Charles, which is really a blessing for the community. And then over on North Avenue, we have Bell Tire. So, I think we just need to remember some of the great things that are happening in Villa Park, and we're really making some progress, and new things are coming, and people want to be in Villa Park. It's a desirable community, and it's a desirable business district. So if anybody else wants to throw in any ones that I missed, or maybe save them for the next meeting and your next trustee report, I think we should just keep reminding each other of the good things that are coming into Villa Park. So that's my report.
Okay. Thank you. Today's storms that came through kind of suddenly, and they caused quite a bit of damage out there as well. And I was able to kind of take a tour and assess the damage of the entire town, and looked at some of the areas that were kind of hardest hit. And it was pretty much the entire town. We had major big trees down, branches everywhere. The cleanup is going to take a lot of time. And when I was out there, you do see the police, you do see the fire. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for doing those things. Making sure that, like on North Avenue in Ardmore, where the flooding was, that our first responders are making sure that our residents aren't going through that and getting stuck in that water. But also Public Works out there as well. and some of our construction trucks moving some of these big, huge trees out of the way and making sure that people could get to and from their homes safely. It's just very encouraging to see our staff on all levels coming together right after a storm like this to help out. But also, I think one of the better things too is that we had our community out there. We had our community working together. We had neighbors being good neighbors and helping each other and being out there for one another and looking out for one another, helping people move debris, helping people just helping people out. And that's really refreshing to see nowadays, especially when emergencies happen, situations happen like this. And I think that's one of the benefits of being here in Villa Park, is that say what you want, but when emergency hits, we all look out for each other and we all step up to the plate and come out for one another. And I think that's one of the better things about Villa Park that we have here. So I just wanted to thank our residents for looking out for one another. Thank our staff for being there for us as well. And for all those people that are still without power or have damage with trees or parkway trees or whatnot, it might take a little bit of time, but our public works and grounds crews are out there helping. Get your debris out to the front of the streets, the parkways, and we'll help get that cleared. But just like the last storms that came through here, they spent a lot of time, early mornings, and this was right before our 4th of July parade the last time too. They are out there and they're working their butts off. So just give it a little bit of time, and if you need any help, reach out. That is all I have. Manager Rivas.
Thank you, sir. I also want to echo, I think village staff did an amazing job today. We had a lot of damage and issues with our village structures. We had flooding in a couple buildings. We lost power in a couple buildings. We lost our phone service, internet. So those things affect us as well. And I think if everybody's just patient, have some patience. If you need any kind of emergency, you know how to reach us. If you can dial 911 on any cell phone, we'll come out as quickly as we can to get to you. But we were also affected by the storm, and I think staff did an amazing job in making sure they keep us up and running as best as we could. On a much lighter tip, August 6th, the concert series starts up again at the gazebo. We're going to have full volume and full effect playing, and they're playing the sounds of Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Cheap Trick, Doobie Brothers, Leonard Skinner, Rolling Stones, and much more, and sounds from the 60s, 70s, and I believe 80s and 90s, if we're talking Black Crowes. So please come out. These concerts have been well attended. I see no difference in everybody coming out to hear them. I've enjoyed being out there, love live music, so please come out and enjoy the sights and sounds of Villa Park. That's all I have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've had some record numbers at our summer concerts. It's amazing to see everybody all come out there, so please do come out August 6th. Come out and celebrate. So that is all we have tonight, everybody. We do have to go into executive session. So moving forward on item 22A, B, and C, executive session pursuant to 5 LC 120/2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. Pursuant to 5 LCS 120/2C5, the purchase, the lease, real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. Pursuant to 5 LCS 120/2C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Constados, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano, is there any discussion? Okay, we'll be entering executive session at 9:22 PM. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. No action afterwards.
Oh, no vote?
I'm sorry,
We got a vote?
Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Constados.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Thank you.
And now, we will go into executive session at 9:23 PM. Thank you, everybody.